trying to improve.
There's Tiswas tomorrow morning. Hark to Chris Tarrant.
Tiswas this week brings you an exclusive interview with Kate Bush. How will she fare against the Phantom Flanflinger? And as if Kate wasn't enough glamour on one programme, Sarah Brightman's coming in as well to talk about why she left hot gossip to do even ruder dances with the Starship Troopers. All the latest pop sounds, Bugs Bunny, Woody Woodpecker, prizes for everyone from 9 months to over 90, the big Nellies in the Cage, the Phantom Flanflinger, the Dying Fly, Mork and Mindy, and Bob Carrollgees, the Loony with the Monkey.
Yes, Tiswas tomorrow on the Wednesday that thinks it's a Saturday at 10:05. And junior viewing from ATV continues right now. Stepping stones at 12:10, but first Just So.
Now, best beloved, that's you. Once upon a most early time was a Neolithic man, and he lived cavily in a cave, and he wore very few clothes, and he couldn't read, and he couldn't write. His name was Tugumai Bopsulai, and his wife's name was Teshumai Tiwindro, and his little girl daughter's name was Tafimai Metalumai, but I'm going to call her Taffy, and I'm sure you're pleased about that. Well, anyway, one day Father Tugumai went down through the beaver swamp to the Wagai River to spear carpfish for dinner, and Taffy went too. Tugumai's spear was made of wood with shark's teeth at the end, and he accidentally broke it clean across. "Here's a pretty kettle of fish," said Father Tugumai. "It'll take me half the day to mend this." "There's your big black spear at home," said Taffy. "Let me run back to the cave and ask Mummy to give it to me." "Oh, it's too far for your little fat legs," said Father Tugumai, and he began to mend his spear. Then Taffy said, "I say, Daddy, it's an awful nuisance that you and I don't know how to write, isn't it? If we did, we could send a message for the new spear." "We could," Tugumai said. Just then, a stranger man came along the river, but he belonged to a far tribe, the Tiwaras, and he did not understand one word of Tugumai's language. He stood on the bank and smiled at Taffy. "Come here," said Taffy. "Do you know where my mummy lives?" And the stranger man said, "Mm-mm." "Oh, silly," said Taffy, and she stamped her foot. "Don't bother grown-ups," said Father Tugumai, so busy with his spear mending that he did not turn round. "I aren't," said Taffy. "I only want him to do what I want him to do." "Well, then don't bother me," said Tugumai. "Now," said Taffy to the stranger man, "I want you to go to my mummy, because your legs are longer than mine, and ask for Daddy's other spear, the one with the black handle that hangs over our fireplace." The stranger man got up and twisted a big, flat piece of birch bark off a birch tree and gave it to Taffy. He did this, oh best beloved, to show that his heart was as white as the birch bark and that he meant no harm. But Taffy didn't quite understand. "Oh," she said, "now I see. You want my mummy's living address. Of course I can't write, but I can draw pictures if I've anything sharp to scratch with. Please lend me the shark's tooth off your necklace." The stranger man didn't say anything, so Taffy put up her little hand and pulled at the beautiful shark-tooth necklace round his neck. So he gave Taffy the shark's tooth, and she said, "Now I'll draw you some beautiful pictures. You can look over my shoulder, but you mustn't joggle." The stranger man watched Taffy drawing the picture, and he smiled. he thought, there must be a big battle going to be fought somewhere, and this extraordinary child who takes my magic shark's tooth is telling me to call the great chief's tribe to help him. He is a great chief, or he would have noticed me. He took Taffy's picture from her, and he did not even ask her the road, but raced off in the bushes like the wind, with the birch bark in his hand, and Taffy sat down most pleased. The stranger man ran for some miles, till quite by accident he found Taffy's mother at the door of her cave, talking to some other Neolithic ladies who had come in to a primitive lunch. The stranger man smiled politely and handed to Shumai the birch bark. As soon as Mother to Shumai saw the picture, she screamed like anything and flew at the stranger man. The other Neolithic ladies at once knocked him down and sat on him in a long line of 6, while Mother to Shumai pulled his hair. "It's as plain as the nose on this stranger man's face," she said. "He has stuck my Tagumai all full of spears and frightened poor Taffy so that her hair stands all on end. And not content with that, he brings me a horrid picture of how it was done. Look!" "Most shocking," said the Neolithic ladies, and they filled the stranger man's hair with mud, and they beat upon the reverberating tribal drums and called together all the chiefs of the tribe of Tagumai, with their headmans and their dolmens, their neguses and woons and archoons of the organization, in addition to the warlocks, bonzes, well, the lot, who decided that before they chopped the stranger man's head off, he should instantly lead them down to the river and show them where he had hidden poor Taffy. By this time, the stranger man was really annoyed. However, he said nothing till all the tribe of Tagumai were assembled, and then he led them back to the bank of the Wagai River, and then they found Taffy making daisy chains, and Father Tagumai carefully spearing small carp with his mended spear. "Well, you have been quick," said Taffy. "But why did you bring so many people?" "Daddy dear, this is my surprise. Are you surprised, Daddy?" "Very," said Tagumai, "but it has ruined all my fishing for the day." "Why, the whole dear, kind, nice, clean, quiet tribe is here, Taffy." And so they were. They were all there, prancing and shouting, and they frightened every fish for 20 miles. And Tagumai thanked them in a fluid Neolithic oration. Then Mother to Shumai ran down and kissed and hugged Taffy very much indeed. But the head chief of the tribe of Tagumai took Tagumai by the top knot of feathers and shook him severely. "Explain, explain, explain!" cried all the tribe of Tagumai. "Goodness sakes alive," said Tagumai. "Let go my top knot. Can't a man break his carp spear without the whole countryside descending on him? You are a very interfering people." "I don't believe you brought my daddy's black-handled spear after all," said Taffy. "And what are you doing to my nice stranger man?" They were thumping him by 2s and 3s and 10s, till his eyes turned round and round. He could only gasp and point at Taffy. "Where are the bad people who speared you, my darling?" said Mother to Shumai. "There weren't any," said Tagumai. "My only visitor this morning was that poor fellow you're trying to choke. Aren't you well, or are you ill, O tribe of Tagumai?" "He came with a horrible picture," said the head chief. "A picture that showed you were full of spears." "Perhaps I better explain that I gave him that picture," said Taffy. But she did not feel quite comfy. "You," said the tribe of Tagumai altogether, "small person with no manners who ought to be spanked, you?" "Taffy, dear, I'm afraid we're in for a little trouble," said her father, and put his arm around her so she didn't care. "Explain, explain, explain," said the head chief of the tribe of Tagumai, and he hopped on one foot. Well, I wanted the stranger man to fetch Daddy's spear, so I drawed it, said Taffy. There wasn't lots of spears. There was only one spear. I drawed it 3 times to make sure. I couldn't help it looking as if it stuck into Daddy's head, there wasn't room on the birch bark. I think you are just the stupidest people in the world, said Taffy. Nobody said anything at all for a long time, till the head chief laughed, ha-ha. Then the stranger man laughed. Then Tagumai laughed till he fell down flat on the bank. Then all the tribe laughed, more and worse and louder. The only people who did not laugh were Mother Tashumai and all the Neolithic ladies. They were very polite to all their husbands and said idiot ever so often. Then the head chief of the tribe of Tagumai cried and said and sang, Tafimai, Netalumai, that's Taffy, you've hit on a great invention. Someday men will call it writing. At present, it is only pictures. And as we have seen today, pictures are not always properly understood. But a time will come, O babe of Tagumai, when we shall make letters, all 26 of them, and when we shall be able to read as well as to write. And then we shall always say exactly what we mean without any mistakes. Let the Neolithic ladies wash the mud out of the stranger man's hair. And from that day to this, and I suppose it's all Taffy's fault, very few little girls have ever liked learning to read or write. Most of them prefer to draw pictures, just like Taffy.